Cashamaniacs.
Geo Gearheads.
Welcome back to the Geo Gearheads episode 501, only 1 week late. I'm Daryl W4 back with Chris of the Northwest, and it's good to actually see you again this week.
Wait, am I a week late? Did I miss something?
Well, I'm a week late. You
I
know,
thought
best laid
501s were a
plans.
pair of Levi's.
Well, they're that too, but
Okay.
yeah, 501 apparently for us is the show delayed due to technical difficulties.
Well, not really technical, electrical difficulties.
Well, that's a technical difficulty. Technically, I couldn't run my equipment.
There you go. Okay. But your laptop runs on battery. You would have been fine. Except for the internet.
Yeah, for those who don't know, because I wasn't able to do much during those 4 days, I had reduced power, not total loss, but reduced power from Wednesday through Saturday. So it was an interesting time, and a lot of that was spent trying to keep things, from melting down. I didn't even get to go caching that weekend.
What?
Yeah, no caches whatsoever. That really sucks.
I had family in town last weekend. I didn't get to go caching either.
Yes, but you can't say that it really sucked that you had family in town. That's the difference.
It was my in-laws. So
they don't listen to the show, so you can say it.
I cannot say anything. I know better.
I know better. We did have a very productive week, shall we say, because we got new dates for a couple of the big events out in the Seattle and Vancouver area. So we brought in a couple of very special guests to talk about that with us. First off, let's bring in Rock Jock. Welcome back.
Thank you. Very happy to be back.
Yeah, it's good. It's been quite a while since you've been on the show.
It has been. I was worried that I was outcast from or blacklisted or something.
Worried?
Maybe I was.
Hopeful?
Was I?
We can neither confirm nor deny.
All right. Well, I'm glad to have been let back in for at least one shining moment here.
Well, and we figured that you might think twice about it again because our next guest is Land Monkey, and I know that you guys hate each other.
Yeah.
But
so
can you at least play nice for this show?
Jay is just a very difficult person to be around. He's antagonistic. He's prone to outbursts.
What?
So, see what I'm saying?
I don't know where you're getting this stuff from.
There's been so little that's been good about this pandemic. It's been a horrible thing for all of us, but the one good thing is that I don't have to actively avoid Jay here in the US because he can't get here.
Well, it was a lot of work to get the Canadian border closed to keep Chris out, but it worked. So
Houston, Texas Dave suggests we all do a group hug.
Yeah.
See, we have these little force fields.
Oh, yeah.
They prevent those hugging.
Whoops, this side. No, that side. There we go. All right.
Why do I have problems with this? I'm on
That
Zoom
always
all the
messes
time
me up.
these days.
You would think.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can we go up to the peace arch and wave at each other, Jay? Is that allowed? I don't know if is that sort of thing allowed?
Yeah, I think.
I don't know how close you can get.
I'm still toying with the idea of Timbit toss. So,
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Yeah.
Now, if you get a wrist rocket, you can shoot Timbits across the border easily.
Yeah, you can.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, on to the topic of the 20-year celebration events, which I don't know that we could call them 20 years anymore, but I figured at least that's better than calling it the 2020 events because that's what we called it last time.
That's what the Olympics were.
Yeah, it's true.
But the last time we talked about this was 2 years ago. Believe it
Really?
or not, it was 2 years
Wow.
ago. We talked about, the events being postponed and that kind of stuff, but it's been 2 years, and I feel like everything is reset. Like everything we knew 2 years ago when we talked about it probably isn't true anymore. Especially that it's going to be 20 years.
Well, that part, yeah. It's even better. It's 22 years.
It's 22 years, yes.
It's 10% better.
It's two, yeah, exactly. But for everyone to get started, you guys flipped the events on us this year. We have August 13th is going to be the Geo Woodstock.
Correct.
And then the geocaching 20th is going to be on August 20th. So now you have to go to Canada first and then come back to the US rather than, going to the US and going to Canada.
Yeah, and that was to the credit of the Geo Woodstock team, because we were I think that our event maybe faced a little bit more stringent of a situation with Seattle Center, and the Geo Woodstock team was just super. They were just fantastic about us getting our date, and then they were able to work with their venue really quickly. We felt bad about how long it took for us to get things squared away on our side. But Seattle Center is just such a popular place to have events during the summer, especially. And we were just kind of at their mercy, really, for waiting for them to get all their pieces in place. They had some events that were already scheduled for 2022 and had been for a while. And then there were events like ours that had either been scheduled for 2020 or had been rescheduled to 21. So they're trying to fit everything in. And we really wanted to stay at Seattle Center. That was really important to us. This being such a big milestone for geocaching, we felt like Seattle Center was the most fitting place to have this event. We could have looked at other venues, and we would have if we had to, but we really wanted to try to stay there. And so when they finally came back and said, here's the date that's available, we just kind of held our breath and hoped that it would work for Geo Woodstock too, because besides really wanting to stay at Seattle Center, we really wanted to try to still have a back-to-back situation with Geo Woodstock. We knew that would be a lot of fun for the community. It would have worked too if we would have done our things at different times. But I think that creating a situation where there's a full week or more for people to come out here and really get the most for their time, because a lot of people, we hope that will be traveling from other countries and from other parts of Canada and the US. And so, you come all the way here from wherever you live. Hopefully this really makes it worth your while to be able to have what should be two really fantastic events.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Bookending the events has always been a core principle of what we've been trying to do for the whole experience for geocachers who are coming to the Northwest to experience, something that's, we hope, going to be a pretty rare and pretty amazing experience for just over a week-long celebration, really, of everything that is geocaching and everything that it's about. And in that vein, which is, I have to say that working with HQ it's been a lot of fun. They've been really great to work with on this project. And when they came back to us and we're like, well, here's the situation. We said, well, let's see what we can figure out. And in the end, moving Geo Woodstock a little bit earlier, I think is going to be a blessing for a lot of people as well, because as opposed to trying to run it later in the summer, now we're moving it just that little bit earlier, and hopefully that'll help more people out. And at the end of the day, you're never going to make everybody happy. You're never going to have the perfect timing for an event, but I think it's pretty good.
Well, my wife thanks you because this time it's not butting up against her professional development days, or actually, I think last time it actually butted up against the first day of class.
There you go.
Well, we did have priorities. It was, the venues, and then Renee's professional development days. And
See, I knew it.
it was not our top priority, but
I knew it. It was
way
all
up
about
there.
getting her. You didn't want me there. You wanted her there.
Chris, it was Renee's professional development days was higher than Nanaimo bars.
What I'm supposed to say is yes. But
Okay,
let's be really honest. I just I thought about that, and I just didn't want to say it out loud.
GSM times 2 says a lot of people with school-age children will appreciate it.
there you go.
And then Just Finding Our Way wants to know, will there be other big things in Seattle before the Seattle event? Right now, it looks like a great week to spend on Vancouver Island.
Yeah, I would love to have those kind of details, but we're still a year off. And I think it'll probably be after the first of the year before we get really into specifics about what might be happening. But we're also going to be mindful with anything that we plan about people that will be coming to Seattle from Vancouver, from that area. So I'm sure that there will be interaction between our team and the Geo Woodstock folks to make sure that we're trying not to do anything that's going to put people in a situation of having to choose between doing things here versus doing things up that way.
Well, I'm sure we're going to see a lot of independent events as well during that week in between, and probably before and after.
Yeah, I mean, as with any mega event, there's certain parameters that people will need to work within for time and distance from a mega event to host their own things. So, we would encourage anybody who has some great ideas about what they would like to do, proximate or adjacent to certainly to Geo Woodstock, and Chris, I'll let you speak to the HQ celebrations. But if you've got some great ideas or things that you would like to try and do or would see as value to the geocaching community, I encourage you to talk to the organizing committee at Geo Woodstock about partnership opportunities. But there are rules we have to work within.
I heard there's going to be a kegger at Land Monkey's house. Is that
Well,
any truth to that?
I mean, it's a Saturday, right? So yeah.
No, Land Monkey, you have to share the keg.
When did that rule start?
GSM times 2 wants to know when the group photo will be, though.
At the kegger or for the
Which
event?
group?
Yeah, at the kegger. Well, I figure he's already trying to plan when he has to show up and when he can be out caching.
Get out of there. Right.
Yeah, it takes a full year to plan that kind of icon run.
We'll give you the same time Comcast will give you. It's between 8 and 4.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there's like Chris said, like Rocktot said, there's a lot of details that are going to come. So once we get into the new year, there'll probably be a lot more clarity at that point. But we've had to definitely, with moving things around and with a lot of other changes, because also 2 years into the planning, I'm not sure about the HQ folks, but I can speak for Geo Woodstock. We've had some transition in our volunteers. So, it's a long commitment to ask people to hold in for. So there is some change, and just encourage people to follow the social medias and stay tuned, and we'll keep you posted.
Well, I was going to kind of ask if you guys kind of feel like you're starting over from scratch with the planning, or is there enough that was just kind of ported to this event that it's not going to be as stressful?
Chris, what do you think?
Well, from our perspective, we have a framework that we've been working on, or were working on, before the pandemic, and certainly had an idea of what we wanted to do throughout the main day, and we we're working out the details of that, and then the pandemic happens, we reschedule, and really honestly, we didn't even, before we had to reschedule, before we had to cancel the rescheduling, we were so far out still that the details hadn't been even nailed down at that point. So what I would say is that our framework is really still the same. There's still a number of things that we would have done in 2000 20 that we will still hope to do in 2022. You know, stuff like a reviewer panel, or having the founders speak. Brian and Jeremy have them, and you know, the adventure labs and the exhibits and all that stuff, and music. So most of the stuff, you know, we're still planning to do, and then we'll see if there are other opportunities that might present themselves that wouldn't have presented themselves in 2020. But most of the details, I mean, like I said, the venue, and because we have the same venue, a lot of the work that we did in terms of making site visits and figuring out where a stage will go, and figuring out where this other thing, the exhibits will happen, and where will music take place, and all of those things are still going to happen. So we don't have to redo a lot of that legwork that we've already done, which is really nice. Whereas if we would have had to have changed venues, it would have felt a lot more like starting over from scratch. So thankfully, we're not in that situation right now.
That's a really good point. And similar for us, we also had a framework we were working from, and there's some core things that we had announced and that we had planned that are still going to happen. We're still planning to have a GPS adventure maze. We're still planning we're going to keep the tradition of Geo Woodstock going, and that there'll be a Midnight Madness event. We've got a lot of stuff. You know, there'll be a CETO. We're going to try and find ways to accommodate those who love their icons. We're definitely going to keep the core things still. We, like Chris said, we're also really fortunate to be able to retain the same venue, which means that there's some key planning around the logistics that we're able to still do. I think to your initial question, Daryl, it's a little bit like starting over, because we do need to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, we've had a couple of meetings where we said, okay, well, here's the core things. These can't move. Like we need to do these things. This is part of the whole experience of Geo Woodstock. This is what we really want to have. And then we take a look at the other things and say, okay, well, what are the things where we've got some flexibility? And so that's where we're making most of the in and out decisions right now, as we firm things up.
Well, and I also assume on the planning front, you don't want to get too in depth into like the real details, because there's always that chance that you might have some type of restriction that you have to socially distance or something. So there's a photo might be a little bit different.
That's possible, and we'll have to see. It's a year away, right? Like
exactly.
It's a really difficult. Given the past 2 years, to try and plan out what's going to happen a year from now. But we have some good sense of what things should look like, and our venue has certain policies and procedures in place that we're going to be complying with. Those may change and adapt over time, but we at least know what the framework is to fall within there.
Yeah, it's been 2 years. I was promised we'd have a new normal, and it still hasn't shown up.
Mm-mm.
I think you asking for normal at any point in time is probably risky, Daryl.
Well, I'm not actually asking. I always thought that was, a threat.
Well, Land Monkey, you mentioned, how it's tough to plan a year ahead. That's pretty much true at any time. And right now, it's tough to plan even a week ahead.
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
So as you said, I think for both of you, your checklists are basically the same. You're still going to look at doing the same things. You may have to shuffle in and out a vendor or service or two, but you'll still have the same things. So,
well, and I am making my plans to be there. It's very exciting. So for my part, I'm going to take the Friday before through the Monday after and make those my travel days.
Nice.
In between, I have no idea what's going to happen yet.
That's probably a good way to approach it at this point.
Yeah. And I'm a little bit hesitant to even book flights right now or hotels. Well, definitely the hotel, because I don't know what I'm going to do. Because my wife has never been to Seattle, so she still has to do the triad, which means we're probably going to spend that week in Seattle, not so much in like Vancouver. So we'll be maybe Saturday and Sunday in Vancouver. I'm figuring that probably makes a lot more sense than trying to, do the day trip up and back, especially being that we will have just flown all the way across the country. Then figure out how to make the triad work during that week and end up at the 20th anniversary celebration.
So and there'll be a lot of logistics that people are going to need to sort out for sure, and there's time to do it. But I also understand that people want to plan their vacation and their flights and accommodations and rental vehicles and all that stuff. So trust me, I've traveled for many a mega event. I am very well aware of that aspect of it. I guess a couple of things. I know you keep saying Vancouver, and I get why. The event is in Abbotsford, British Columbia. Now the thing is, Abbotsford actually does have an international airport as well, so it's a consideration. There's not a ton of flights from around the world that come into the Abbotsford. Most flights will come into the Vancouver airport, and then there
is one daily from Detroit, isn't there, Jay?
I think it's from Daryl's. Yeah, it's the Daryl Express. Yeah.
Well, I could take it from Pontiac Airport right around the corner.
There you go.
It's all about saving me that time.
That's right. If you want to fly on a Dash 8, no problem. But yeah, so it's everybody wants to queue up for the kegger on Daryl's private Dash 8 flight from Detroit to Abbotsford. I'll just put the feelers out there right now for you, Daryl. See who you can get on that.
I was expecting a Cessna 184.
Well, I've upgraded you.
I figured that now I'm traveling in style.
Yeah. But what I was going to say is that because of that, I just want people to keep in mind that most people who are coming in are going to be coming into Vancouver, into Vancouver International Airport, and then. It's only an hour from Vancouver International Airport out to Abbotsford, the city in the country where the event is going to be hosted. But just encourage people not to cut their time too short. We will be running a big registration event all day on the Friday. And it'll be a community celebration event. So another option for icons there. And we're also working with a lot of the tourism groups. And there is a couple of Geotours around here who are going to be working with us as well. So there's a lot of things to do. So I would encourage people to maybe don't plan to rush out of British Columbia. Don't necessarily plan to rush in, rush out. But I also understand people want to get their triad. There's a week is plenty of time to get to the triad. It doesn't take that long to travel to those spots and then land yourself in Seattle. So, plan to spend a little bit of time in BC.
If you're ambitious, you can do the triad in a day. So, Now, Rock Chalk, will the HQ cash be available at the 20th anniversary celebration?
It will not be at the celebration itself. We will, the way we were planning it the first time around, and again, we'll have to see how the details will work, but we were going to have a deal where you signed up for spots to come to HQ during that,
I remember
on specific days. Yeah. And trying to work within our capacity limits there at the building and all that stuff. So that would hopefully be the plan again, to be able to set something like that up. So again, one of those details that we'll be able to share a little bit further out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I tried signing up for it last time, but I don't remember if I even got a spot or not.
Yeah.
But I seem to remember those spots going quickly when it opened, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, so there's going to be a lot of stuff to do for the people who didn't, or who did do the triad. I think especially up in Vancouver area.
So
So
there's fabulous caches up in the Vancouver.
yeah,
Abbotsford.
I think that if you've already done the triad, that would be a great way to spend that week, and then you come down for the 40th. But I'm really thinking at this point I should be in Abbotsford for at least the Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I would plan for that. And like I said, there's a couple of great Geotours. The city of Richmond has a fantastic Geotour that would take you a full day to complete. And we're encouraging them to restock on coins and such. So we'll see where that lands. But that is a fantastic Geotour, all within a beautiful community in Richmond, BC. Richmond, by the way, is the city where the airport is, so that can maybe help with the planning a little bit. And then the other Geotour that we're going to be promoting and who are a partner in Geo Woodstock is the Gold Country Geotour, one of the very first Geotours, and just spectacular. About maybe 2 hours northeast of where Geo Woodstock is being hosted, 2 to 3 hour drive from there to the first Gold Country caches. But it is really cowboy country. It is, you are driving through places that you feel like you're in a Western. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful area. So very unique experience there as well. So we're really encouraging people to consider planning those options if you're a Geotour fanatic. And then of course, as Rock Chalk said, we're going to have lots of Adventure Lab options. The Trans Canada Adventure Lab will be in place and running by then. It's already well underway.
So Daryl, you could drive across.
You could.
And do the Adventure Labs on your way.
Don't think I haven't thought about doing that. See, if Renee had already done the triad, I definitely would want to hit that Gold Country Geotour.
Oh,
yeah, even without the Geotour, I would have wanted to head up there because I've heard such great things about it on that other podcast that records later on tonight.
The Gold Country Geotour podcast.
Right. But yeah, it's really a tough call because if you haven't done the triad, you're definitely going to want to spend the time in the Seattle area, do the triad. But if you've done the triad, then I think it gets much tougher because I know there's a bunch of really good caches, and there's like a Geotour or two in Seattle, if I remember correct.
Oh yes, several.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I've got to do those now too. So it's
and
like,
then
ooh, priorities.
Yeah. You could be all over the state of Washington getting spectacular caches if you need your Jasmer filled. Washington State's a great spot to get that done. Or to
Washington and BC,
to get not all of it done, but a vast majority. It'll fill, several of those slots.
And Oregon, there's a couple down just across the border in Oregon. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Now I was going to say, now we're getting into that other big thing is it is such an area rich for people who are looking to fill those challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So, 1 week, it's going to be tough. And I think you're going to need more than a week. You're going to need at least that Friday. If you get back to work the following Monday, you're crazy. You're going to be so busy that,
I would really encourage people to consider doing like 10 days and if possible, like a 2-week kind of span, just to get the most out of the experience. The Pacific Northwest, like we've been talking about, is just such a diverse and beautiful and amazing area to come and explore. If you haven't had the chance to be out here, and everything from, we've seen people mentioning Vancouver Island as a place to visit. Absolutely. But there's a time commitment to get over there by ferry. The Puget Sound area and all the peninsulas and islands there in Washington State. I'm jonesing for that border to get opened up again so I can get back down to Whidbey Island, one of my favorite places to visit, right? Like there's just so many great ways and places. And, if you're bringing your Muggle family along, they're going to really enjoy the visit. There's so much to do outside of even just geocaching. So I would.
I was just going to
Oh,
say,
wait, there's something to do outside of geocaching?
even
believe it or
even
not.
without geocaching, there's so much to do that you
Yeah.
could easily spend a couple of weeks there.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know a guy
Yeah,
who wrote a book about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I would imagine that even in Seattle Center, you could spend a week.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's people that absolutely come to Seattle and just plant themselves and go to the Space Needle and spend time on the waterfront and go out to Snoqualmie Falls. And I mean, yeah, you could,
Well,
you could
there's
easily.
2 museums in the city center, in the Seattle
Oh,
Center.
There's more
oh,
than that.
yeah,
I'm
you know,
thinking of
there's yeah, there's
Bohai and
several.
Mopop.
Yeah.
I can't remember how many were actually in the center, though.
Oh, in the Pacific. Oh, in the Seattle Center is what you're saying.
Correct. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah. So there's the the Pacific Science. Well, I mean, I don't know. Pacific Science Center is technically a museum.
Oh, I thought that was one of them. And isn't there an art museum?
I would consider it a museum. Let's see. You have the Museum of Pop Culture, the Pacific Science
one.
Center, the Seattle Children's Museum.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Whatever happened to the music experience? Is that the culture one now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's pop culture.
Okay.
And
Well,
then
there's exhibits on a frequent basis that are set up outside, as I recall.
Mhm.
So yeah, you could spend quite a bit of time just in the Seattle Center, you know, if you don't want to do anything else.
No, and there's the big pointy thing the Weedle lives on top of.
Really? There's a
Oh,
Weedle
yeah.
on top of the needle, huh?
There's a
The
Weedle on the needle.
needle.
And if you don't know what that means, you got to come visit and learn.
You just got to go Google.
I was going to say I'm going to have to Google that when I'm done.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's like the Chihuly Garden
Mhm.
and glass there. I mean, there's just so much there at around Seattle Center, and then
A
you get
planetarium.
outside of there. The Museum of Flight isn't far away. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, like you said. I mean, we're talking about several weeks worth of stuff here now between Vancouver and Oregon and Seattle. So, which is great. I mean, as long as you don't I have the problem as when I'm a tourist, I have a problem of trying to do everything. I've got 7 days. I'll just do everything and be, gasping for breath at the air at the end. But if you can look at it the right way and say, okay, I'm going to prioritize here and pick some things and just really enjoy those things, then that's I think a good way to look at it. And just to Jay's point, as he was talking about just the area up around Abbotsford and Vancouver, I mean, I hope people don't just say to themselves, oh, I'll zip into Canada, I'll do the event, and then I'll zip back. I mean, I think that would be a big mistake because it's just such a fantastic area to visit. Beautiful area. People are fantastic. So I hope that if you are coming for a week or more that, try to spend as much time as you can on that side of the border, in addition to whatever you do on this side.
And you gotta find the Chicken Channel.
Chicken
I got some
channel?
bad news. The Chicken Channel cache is retired. The people who lived there moved, and the cache is gone. It's the end of an era for that particular cache. But there's plenty
I'm
more.
never coming back.
There's plenty more great caches.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah,
GSM times 2 says drop the Snuggle Muggle and the kids at the museums. But Pickle Ninja says I'd love to come out that way and find some bounce caches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then of course GSM times 2 says right, why are we talking about museums when there are bounce caches to be found?
yeah.
Yeah,
We're
are some good
definitely
ones.
lucky in the Northwest to have bounce out here. Puts out some very amazing caches, and one of the key things is that they're not all located in one spot either. Like it's
Right.
not like, oh, we'll just go to this community outside of Seattle and that'll be all the bounce caches. He's got them spread out. He's put some out for some events that have stayed around. I think my favorite one he's done, and he's done a lot of great ones, is the one that went out for Geo Coin Fest in Snoqualmie. No,
Yeah.
Is it in Snoqualmie where you have
Oh,
to
Issaquah, right?
Issaquah, where you have to have 3 people?
It takes 3.
It
I
takes
think it's
3.
a
That
minimum.
one,
Right.
that one was fun.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that was a lab cache, wasn't it? At Geo.
Mhm.
initially, yeah, but I think it stayed around as a tradition. There's lots of amazing geocache
Yeah.
creators and maintainers, thankfully, in the Northwest. But definitely Bounce is amongst the elite of them.
Yeah. You have Team Noltex, you have Goblin Dust.
Yeah.
I mean, you hit any of these cache hiders, any of their hides, and you're going to be impressed.
We're pretty lucky out here.
We really are.
Yeah, so there's no shortage of good caches to be found, and no shortage of good attractions, museums, and other stuff. And we didn't talk about any of the museums in like Abbotsford and Vancouver, but I know there's a bunch up there. And Gold Country has a museum about the gold rush, don't they?
Yeah, the Gold Country is a pretty big area with quite a number of communities in it, and several of those communities have museums, but it's not the museum. It's more like your small town museum experience, right? That's your Gold Country. You're visiting a series of small communities and experiencing the outback in between them as well. So it's more of a holistic experience that you should be looking for at Gold Country. But yeah, as for Metro Vancouver area, the South Coast area here, we do have quite a number of interesting attractions and museums, and we tend to really kind of focus less on the indoor experiences and more on the outdoor. So people will probably be more familiar with things like Stanley Park, the North Shore Mountains. We've got amazing kayaking experiences. You can get a float plane tour up and above. You can even on our rapid transit. You can use it as a tour bus. It's just great experiences to come out and visit and enjoy it all.
Yeah, the SkyTrain has at least one caching series, if I remember correctly.
There's
So
an
you can even
adventure
do
lab,
that.
set up for the SkyTrain.
See, and that seems like something I would want to do. An entire day is just like the mass transit caching, just to do it.
Pretty sure Subway Mark will.
Oh yeah, not that you're actually going to get like big numbers that way, but it's just fun to do to say that you've done it. Yeah.
I think you can probably run up some pretty good numbers doing that too when it's all greenfield for you, right? If you don't live here.
Yeah, I'm sure. So more than enough to do for the travel, and probably we're saving those pennies for the next year to make sure that you can make the most of it.
Yeah. Lots of planning to be done.
Yes, on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was speaking more just for the visitors, for the folks who want to come. I think that's one of the key things that Chris and I have been communicating here is that your options are nearly endless for your experiences. So that's one of the reasons
for cachers and for non-cachers. So HQ and us have poured a lot of energy into the websites. I think they're great resources, both those websites, to help you plan your visit. Chris, did you want to say anything about your guys's?
Yeah, it's hq20.geocaching.com. So, we've got stuff on there with, a list of the museums and a list of other iconic places to see in Seattle, and links to information about, getting around while you're here. And we'll be adding stuff about restaurants and, lodging and that sort of thing. So, so keep an eye on that website. We'll be updating that, in the months to come with more information as we have it.
But is there going to be a pub crawl again this year? Well, next year, I guess, technically.
I guess details to come on. Yeah, was that at Block Party? Is that right?
That was a Block Party, yeah.
Last Block Party, it was an event. It was a lab cache series, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was more than one Block Party, though.
Yeah, I was only here for the last one. That was my first Block Party. Was the last one in 2015. So yeah, I just have like a very vague memory of walking to all of those pubs in Fremont, Ballard, and the various nearby locations.
But so totally worth it. Rock Chalk, we have a question from GSM Times 2. Is there any discussion about a new Geotour in the Seattle area in the time frame?
I am not privy to anything at the moment, but I'm not on the Geotours team, so I know they always have a lot of irons in the fire. So yeah, we'll see what might happen with various caching opportunities. I know there's going to be a number of adventures. So, but whether or not there's another Geotour or not, I'm not sure about that right now.
Well, don't miss the HQ Geotour. That's fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you maybe you finished it at one point in the past, but we added a virtual since the virtual reward program. We did add a virtual reward at Gasworks Park, which is part of the Geotour now. So, if you haven't been here in the last couple of years, and you did find maybe the Geotour previously, you'll be able to find one more on the Geotour with that Gasworks Park virtual.
Nice. I don't think I've even found that one.
I haven't. This is not related to the Geotour, but just related to not finding a virtual. There is also a virtual reward right outside of our building at the JP Patches statue, and I haven't found that still. And I literally look out at it. So I don't know what's stopping me. I'm not saving it. It's just one of those things where I haven't taken the time to do it. Of course, the pandemic hasn't helped, with working from home so much of the time. I was at the office today, but I probably go in once a week at this point, which is more than what I was doing. But yeah, I just haven't, for some reason, hasn't been a priority for me, even though it's right there.
Now, don't lackeys often look out the window to see if somebody's looking for it, and will wave and tap on the window trying to get your attention?
Yeah, I think so. If you're on that side of the floor, my seat is not. Okay. I think that's more Gear Guru and Miss Jen and Annie. They're all kind of over there. I think that maybe sometimes they do peek out and see what's going on.
Nice. Now, Land Monkey, do you have a website available for Geo Woodstock, or is that just a rumor?
No, we definitely have a website. We've like HQ, we've poured a lot of time and energy into it. So it's the good news is it's geowoodstock.com. It's the same URL that every Geo Woodstock uses. We just passed the URL on to the next organizing committee. I think we've held on to it longer than anybody has. So,
maybe you won't pass it on.
Oh no, we'll be very happy to pass it on. I'll tell you that right now. We're really looking forward to the opportunity to hand the keys over to the next organizing committee. But yeah, geowoodstock.com, and it's loaded with lots of great information. Very much like Chris was saying for HQs, we got a ton of information about traveling to Abbotsford, but also traveling into Canada. There is a border crossing like right in Abbotsford, so there's lots of details like that. We're working with we have an official travel agent that we're working with as a sponsor, and they have been doing a lion's share of work again around getting room blocks and bookings and things like that. So all that information will be available. I know there was a lot of people had made reservations and plans and had to put them up in the air, cancel, etc. And we certainly understand the impact of that. But we're working hard to get fresh information on there. There's going to be, things change, but all the same hotel partners we had before are still willing to work with us again. Obviously, everybody's really eager to bring folks in. What I can tell you, for those who like beer as much as I do, there's a lot more new microbrews that have opened in the last 2 years. So if you're the kind who likes to do a little sampling here and there as you're traveling around geocaching, man, you might not get a lot of geocaching done, but you'll have a good day. So
Nice. Nice.
Oh,
And
Pickle Ninja says, thanks for the great show and information. I really need to make it over to the Pacific Northwest.
we
And
look
I'll
forward
add to
to
that.
bringing you.
Yeah, I'll add to that people need to make it over to the other podcast that records on Thursday nights, because you guys at Caching in the Northwest are going to do more on this couple of events on tonight's show. Now that we actually have dates
there you go. And
or
once
new
you
dates,
come
I
out
guess
to the
we had
Northwest-
dates.
Well, we've got new official dates.
Yeah.
Fresh. They're fresh dates.
They're fresh dates.
Delicious. But once you come out to the Northwest, you'll want to come back. It is spectacular.
Some people come out here and just stay, right, Chris?
Yeah.
I was going to say,
exactly.
some people just move here, like me.
Yeah, both Chris's are not
That's right.
native.
Transplants. We're transplants from the flatlands.
But
The
again, those
flyover
dates are August 13th for Geo Woodstock in Abbotsford, and then August 20th for the 20th anniversary celebration in Seattle. And thank you both for joining us and giving us the scoop on what's going on, as it develops. And we're very much looking forward to traveling out there and actually getting to do the 20th anniversary celebration, even if it is 22.
We're very much looking forward to hosting everybody who comes out. We'll even invite Daryl. So.
Whoa. That wasn't what we agreed to at the beginning.
He
before the
had to
show.
do that to get Renee out there.
That's
Okay.
right.
Oh, for Renee, well, yeah, we want Renee.
Yeah. See, that's the only reason I get invited anywhere.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And folks, make sure you check out the Cachamaniacs website at cachamaniacs.com for more on the Geo Gearheads, including show notes for this and all of our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us feedback by emailing geogearheads@cachamaniacs.com or through the many channels of social media. Your support helps keep the Cachamaniac shows coming. Please consider becoming a patron through the link on our website to support the Cachamaniac shows. Geo Gearheads is produced by Chris Umfenauer and Daryl Wattenberg. The show's copyright 2021 by Daryl Wattenberg. All rights reserved.
Cash with the Cachamaniac.